Hey everybody, I'm Ray Ramos once again, back again to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is Hell's Pass. My writing, my creation, is it real? Heart of gold? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, Hell's Pass. A lot of people ask me the origins of Hell's Pass, and it has quite a few different, genres that went into the making of Hell's Pass. Overall, however, the main genre, of course, is the genre of zombie horror or survival horror, which has become very popular in the past decade. Actually, a bit more than a decade. I think it really hit its stride back in 2004 with the release of the remake of Dawn of the Dead. That's when it really started. That's when I really started thinking about the way that survival horror has come to be. And before that, survival horror had lived through Resident Evil and monster movies, things of that nature, horror movies that dealt with the zombie apocalypse, and books and other genres through books and literature and video games and movies. Some movies will, however, do come to mind that are long-lasting as far as the origins of survival horror, and that is, of course, the original, the trilogy from the master, which was George Romero. Now, George Romero, if you guys don't know, he and John Russo pretty much created the zombie horror genre back in 1969, with, of course, the classic Night of the Living Dead, which was filmed in black and white. And also they created a history because it was one of the first indie movies that hit mainstream popularity, and all that is due to the fact that Romero and his crew were pretty much dead set and had a passion, a passion project. They were dead set on creating this movie, no pun intended, about zombies coming back to life, monsters trying to destroy humanity. But it wasn't so much about the zombies, it was the horror that came with it, as far as people becoming monsters themselves and trying to survive in a world where the rules were just thrown out the window, and there was nothing that could stop anybody from just doing whatever they wanted. And that's the whole horrific point as far as Night of the Living Dead and any zombie survival movie. The point is that once the horror hits, once that realization hits that, oh man, the kid gloves are off, there's nobody looking, anybody can do anything at any time, that's when the real terror strikes. Because, well, if there's nobody looking and no one cares, what can prevent you from doing anything, from walking down the street and smashing a kitten's head open, or just running rampant, rioting, attacking people, raping, pillaging, killing? What will hold you back? And that is nothing. Nothing will hold you back. And that's where the real terror, the real horror comes in when it comes to zombie apocalypse and apocalyptic scene movies like Romero's Night of the Living Dead. And it starts very quiet. It starts very slowly. You don't even realize that it's happening. And all of a sudden you're caught up. And there it is. And oh man, I'm in the middle of it now, and I have to struggle to survive. And these rules and regulations that society have put upon us are tested and strained, because you still have that humanity inside you. You're still trying to be a decent human being and abide by these rules and conditions that we've been put upon, or that have been put upon us by civilization, by society, by religious aspects, morality. Just the line between right and wrong is blurred, and there's this gray area where anything goes, and you have to do anything in order to survive. And that's where the real horror starts. And that's where Romero went. And he went there, and he got dark, and he did it first, and it was awesome. And that's where I truly started appreciating the beauty that is zombie horror, that is survival horror. But let me talk about Romero for a second, and what really, really set the ball rolling as far as Hell's Pass. Back in 2008, I was fortunate enough to go and showcase a different book that I was writing called El Valiente, El Paso's first superhero, created for El Paso, Texas. He was the defender of El Paso. I had the book printed. I went to San Diego Comic-Con in 2008. I was showing off the book, and one of the special guests that was there was George Romero. Now, this is the part that kind of like really was odd as far as I was concerned with the whole setup. I was walking through the aisles. I was showing off the comic to certain people. I had met a few celebrities. Nobody that really blew me away, but I respected their work. But as I rounded the corner in one of the aisles, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to San Diego Comic-Con, but it is just a madness. Imagine just, I don't know, the Super Bowl combined with New Year's Eve and Halloween all at the same time, with comics and celebrities and movies, film stars, pop culture in general. San Diego Comic-Con has become such a huge thing. In 2008, it was still huge, not as big as it is now, which now it's even bigger and I guess worse, if you could say that. But back then, it was still an epic level show. So I was walking around, trying to walk around because the crowds of people were like thick. And I turned the corner, and there, sitting in one of the booths, it wasn't even a real booth, it was more of a table, was this man that I recognized as George Romero. And I saw him, and there was nobody around this table. Other people were interested in other things. They were walking around looking at other stuff. There had been a few other movies and shows that were coming out during that year that were getting more attention than Romero was. And I took the opportunity and I approached him. I approached his table, and there he was. And there's been very few times that I have been in awe. Very few times that I've met celebrities or icons, people that I look up to, influences, you might say, inspirations that I look up to that have left me in awe. And this was one of them. I don't even know how I built up the courage to go up to the table, even though it was pretty much empty, which is very, very strange. But now, thinking about it now, it's kind of sad to think that it was like that it was not a lot of fans around the table, knowing that this man is gone now. He has passed on. He passed away about 2 years ago. And just knowing the fact that now he's gone, there's no access to him any longer, I had the pleasure, the opportunity, the honor of speaking to him. So I went up to him and I said, "Hello, sir. My name is Ray Ramos. I'm a big fan of your work. I have followed your work. I have seen almost every film that you have ever directed or written, from Creepshow to Bruiser to everything in between, Night of the Living Dead to during that time I believe he was about to launch a Survival of the Dead, if I'm not mistaken." And I was in awe, and I don't even know how I was managed to speak to him so clearly, so eloquently. And I told him, this moment right here is just one of the most iconic moments in my life, one of those moments, those historic moments in my life that I will remember forever. And he thanked me, and he was, very good to meet you. My name's George. Very, very down-to-earth person. Very, 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 very cool. Very, very cool. And that stayed with me, because he was not this type of celebrity that people meet and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, bow down before me because you know who I am." And, well, I don't know who you are, so let's just leave it at that. And I started speaking to him. I started talking to him. I was like, "Hey, so I did this comic book. It's called El Valiente. It's based off of the lucha libre genre, and I'd like you to have it. I'd like you to take a look at it. Let me know what you think, please." And he took the comic. He was looking at it, and he was like, of course, I'll take it. That's no problem. But I do need something from you," he said. And I'm like, "What's that?" He said, "Well, you need to sign it." And I'm like, wow, he wants me to sign it. "Oh, of course, by all means." So I signed the copy of El Valiente, and I gave it back to him. And he was like, thank you. I appreciate it very much. And I look forward to reading this. And I'll let you know what I think. And I'm like, awesome. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. And then I was like, if I can ask you a question. And he was like, of course you can. can ask me whatever you want. And I'm like, let's talk zombies. Let's talk about Night of the Living Dead. He's like, oh, what do you want to know? And he smiled this smile like, wow, like he was so proud of that fact that I was able to speak to him about that I recognized him for that. And he was very forthcoming. He's like, go ahead, ask away.